Good evening, everybody. Just trying to fill a bit of time here. Neil is hopefully on his way. Uh, Bitterly disappointed. Thought it was the poorest performance we've had in a long time. Don't really know what more can be said. It's just it was going to come. It was going to come eventually that we would hit a stumbling block. Unfortunately, it came today. I thought throughout we were poor. Just never got going in the first half. I thought Emmy coming off at halftime put us on the back foot. It was quite obvious that the team themselves were a little bit worried about the fact that he was there, and we were dropping very, very deep. Unfortunate, but on the other hand, I think it's the sign of a good team that can play that badly and come out of it with a point. So I prefer to look at it with claret and blue tinted glasses, in that it was a good point considering it was an absolutely poor performance, but we got through it. We got the point. We would have hoped for 3. It's hard to pick out. You could literally give out about everybody, with the exception of maybe the likes of Buendia, who I thought worked really, really hard throughout the game. People just drifted in and out the game completely. Crucial, obviously, Emmy halftime. I don't know how true it is, but they're saying it was an illness. I'm hoping it is an illness and not an injury, so we might see him back again on Tuesday, because he is absolutely vital to us, and we completely saw that today. Every time Brentford broke, our defense seemed to retreat into their shell, and it just looked like they were going to score. So look, it is what it is. Neil will be joining us shortly, hopefully. Oh, there he is.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks very much, generic Villa fan. Very flat. Done well to keep the run going. Yeah. The positive we take out of that is we got a point where we probably didn't deserve anything from it.
Put it this way, exactly. And just for everybody, apologies, I'm late. I'm just having a small bit of internet issues here, and I also had a little lady who decided to throw a tantrum just as Douglas Luiz scored, as I started to celebrate, and I got half her dinner all over my top, so you might be able to see it there. And no, it wasn't my missus; it was my little child. But yeah, and I don't know if you've gone over this, Paddy, and sorry to jump in, but I'm actually in a strange kind of way, I'm actually pretty buoyed by a point here, because there was a very much a situation there in the last 20 minutes. Well, probably the 20-minute period from maybe about minute 65 to 85, whereby I just went, okay, this has been disastrous, because number one, Emmy Martinez went off. I know he was only sick, but I don't really have any confidence in Robin Olsen. Hey, listen, I'm sure that everybody in the chat is exactly the same. And I thought that could be a massive derailer for our push to Europe. Then also going 1-0 down, I went, this isn't good. The performance hasn't been good. Then Dougie scores, and now I'm thinking, these are the points that get you to Europe. These are the points. A point when you were dead and buried, and you come back and you played poorly. And we've just broken a record, by the way, scoring 19 consecutive games. That's a record. No, there are a lot of that's a positive. The end result, I think, is a positive based on the 85 minutes we saw previous to it. So once again, it comes down to 4 points between out of Brentford and Fulham. We would have hoped for 6, but that just means we need to go and beat Man United now. And that's fine. And let's do that. And let's relish going to try and beat teams, but let's not relish having flat performances like that. And I'm not excusing a flat performance. I think it was flat, but I think it was mainly flat due to the fact that Brentford got their tactics absolutely bang on. I said beforehand, Christian Norgard in midfield is a fine player. Fine player. He just stops you from doing things, and he possesses the ball himself. And we didn't get any kind of foothold there, and they did. And that's my 3-minute synopsis on it.
Pretty similar to what I said. I'm downbeat, and the reason I'm downbeat is that we never got going when we had Emmy on the pitch. I thought we had a poor first half, and you know what? After the run of games we've had, I think we're entitled to have a bad display. It's absolutely fine as long as it doesn't lead into Tuesday. It's a quick turnaround. It's vitally important that we go and get 3 points at home on Tuesday. It's absolutely huge to us. So we need positivity. I think the most important thing is we didn't come out of that with no points, that they didn't make any gains on us. So that is the only way to look at it. I touched on it briefly, the Olsen thing. I don't know whether you noticed, but when Olsen came on, their crowd saw Olsen warming up, and their crowd were getting behind them. They knew it. We knew it because we dropped a whole lot deeper. The only people that didn't know it were the commentators, because they were going, "What's going on here? Why are Villa playing like this?" It just felt like we dropped 10 yards deeper because there was zero trust in that goalkeeper, and
like that one. The one thing that he had to do, and look, this isn't a piling on him, but look, as I say, and it does seem, I don't know, I've heard that Emi Martinez was ill, that's why he had to come off.
Well, we're hoping that's all it was. Yeah,
I don't know why.
The fact that he started means he wasn't too ill, so that's why I'm hoping that's what it is, that he can get himself right for Tuesday. And look, it's not a pile-in either. It's just an observation that's how I saw it. That's how most people saw it. I'm not making a scapegoat of him, but it changed the whole game in the fact that our defense dropped deeper. Moreno was caught out a number of times because of that, because they were pinging that ball in on top of him.
Yeah.
And it just changed the whole perception of the game, and that's where we're at. It's not a pile-in.
No, and you're dead right. And two things that I want to point out as well when the goalkeeper came on. Number one, it negated, like, our playing out from the back had to become super slow, and players had to get back, and players had to get in and around, and like our midfield had to come back. So the distance between us and the goal when we were trying to get that ball back out, from playing out from the back, had to shuffle down an awful lot. I'm interested to watch it back again because I could see it on broadcast TV. I really want to know if that is, if what I saw was the right thing when I was getting food thrown at me, But also, what we didn't see was we couldn't see any of those diagonal balls right out to the fullbacks that helps break that high press, or even helps break a kind of a, when you put a block in there in middle midfield, tries to draw people out. We couldn't do that. Olsen can't do it. He's just not able to do it.
And let's be fair, Emi couldn't do it in the first half either, and we've got to give a little bit of praise to Brentford, who pushed up the fullbacks to stop that happening as well. So there's a load of ways of looking at this. Number one was a great performance tactically by Brentford. While they're lacking in a lot of quality in certain areas, tactically they got a spot on.
Yeah.
You saw, even the commentator said it was a meltdown from Thomas Frank when it started to fall apart from them there at the end. That is exactly what happened, and I don't believe that Olsen has the same feet that Martinez has to be passing the ball out at the back. So
Olsen doesn't have the same
hands
Martinez has either.
Pardon?
Olsen doesn't have the same hands Martinez has either.
No. And look, we got out of jail. That one that he let the guy around him and he put it into the side net, and that's getting out of jail. And that's the kind of luck we need on this run. We, to get back into it, to get the point, to come away with something, has to be a positive. It has to be something we take into Tuesday, because Tuesday now becomes an absolutely humongous game. We have to go and get 3 points on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of speculation in the chat that there was a falling out. No, from what I've heard and from what I've seen, it was that Martinez felt ill at halftime, and that's why he was substituted. So it's not the end of the world, from what I can see. Could be wrong. I don't know. Like could be wrong, but yeah. Look,
you never know with these things. It'll come out shortly when the professor comes out to speak. That'll probably be the first question he's asked. He didn't look off his game in the first half. No, he came and played sweeper a couple of times and did a really good job. He couldn't fault any of his game in the first half. He wasn't his usual shouty self, is the only thing I probably would have noticed. But I couldn't fault Emi Martinez's performance if he was sick. So I doubt very much, even in any fallout, that they would have made that change. It just doesn't make any sense.
That's literally cut your nose off to spite your face. And for anybody listening in the audio podcast, I'm simulating cutting my nose off with the scissors here, because I've been minding a child for the day. Paddy, you put up, you mentioned there about Brentford as well. And look, we spent a lot of last week kind of laughing at well, we weren't laughing, but there was a lot on Twitter, should I say, not us, I think Villa fans in general. We spent a lot of times pointing out the saltiness from Newcastle fans. But I know like Brentford, as you said, got their tactics spot on today. Brian Mbuemo could have had as many goals as he wanted today at times. He got a lot of space. Tony got a goal. I thought he was quiet, but I want to talk about that goal as well. That goal for that goal as it comes across the box. I can't understand how 18 goal now, 19 goal Ivan Toney is left all on his own. Like he comes from a decent distance out in the left wing and comes in that back post. Ashley Young doesn't even see him there and tries to actually turn around and hook the ball out, and Toney just comes across and hits him. It was, when you talk about the goalkeeper as well, Paddy, the communication, that was a communication issue we had at the start of the season that hasn't been there over the last couple of games. And look, we're not being overly negative about it, but I wonder was the fact that we have Robin Olsen in there, the different type of communication, maybe the lack of communication, maybe Emi Martinez loves to get to his back post as quickly as he possibly can. When that ball comes across from Toney, and there's no saving it from Olsen, don't get me wrong here, but when that ball comes across from Toney, Olsen is stuck in the middle of his goals. Just these little things, you can talk about them in hypotheticals if you want, and we are. But I'm just wondering, when we'll have to look back at it again, but when you look back at it again, just thought it was a cheap enough goal, albeit Brentford deserved to be 1-0 up for about 3 other chances that they had prior to that goal, because it was certainly coming, and they did.
And look, for me, the goal is all on Ashley Young. He should have had the awareness to know that he was coming in behind him. You're defending that back post. You've got to go and attack the ball. In my opinion, as someone who played full back, your immediate reaction is, if you've got to come and attack that ball, you play it back where it came from, or at least diagonally out towards the halfway line. That's how it should have been dealt with. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he completely mishit it, or didn't get to it, and there was a simple enough finish at the back post, and that's fine. He wasn't the only one that made mistakes today. Den Donker nearly let them in early on. Yeah. There was a few really, really serious errors in the first half. We gave the ball away, I thought, very deep. We'd only barely got over the halfway line, and we kept giving the ball away. And let's face it, that's a lot down to Brentford's tactics. I thought they had us by the short and curlies for long periods of the game. I couldn't see how we were going to get a goal. Big shout out to Luca Dean. I thought he did very well when he came on. Obviously, he had a part to play in the goal as well. Big shout out to Emi Buendia. I thought he was our one shining light in that first half. I thought he did really, really well. He got involved in everything. He dropped a little bit deeper than usual to pick up the ball. It was almost like he was counteracting that line that was sitting in front of the back four. Look, we could talk about it all day, but the most important thing is that we've got a point on the board. That is a point that over the last 3 years we wouldn't have picked up under previous managers. We would have just capitulated altogether, but we didn't. We absolutely did the best we possibly could. Shout out to the wonderful referee that we were blessed with today, that comes back off a standing down to referee Aston Villa, and you know what? I've no problem with a referee making a mistake. But to stand there with blood streaming out of Luca Dean's head and to be shaking your head going, no, get over yourself, man. Just put up your hand and go, okay, right. And
they are
we're not perfect. Get fucking on with it. No point in VAR checking it. It wasn't a red card. It was a high foot. It was unfortunate it drew blood, but he should have seen the high foot. Should have been a free kick to us. It was a poor error for him, and a poor error for his linesman, who should have spotted it as well.
Yeah, and look, that's really like the referee. The referee didn't win or lose the game. Didn't win the game for Brentford.
No, he didn't.
I thought he was like the yellow card Ashley Young got. Come here. If you give a yellow card for somebody putting their hands on a fella maybe once or twice during the phase of play, he gets a yellow card for it. And what I mean by that is like just trying to drag him back, and not even massive drags pulling at the jersey. And then when a fella's got blood streaming out of his head, you don't give a yellow card. No. It's not like he ducked his head. Look, it is the way it is. But it's just symptomatic, Paddy. We come on after these games 90% of the time, and we can talk about these referees just not getting it right, and being flustered and not being able to meet the moment of these games. He's just another one. He's just another one in a catalogue.
And my point is, the last referee that was stood down earlier in the season, what was his first game back? Fucking Aston Villa. Of course it was. They need to go and fuck off with themselves, as far as I'm concerned. And the only way that can happen is by us pushing ourselves into those top 6 places and becoming one of the big 6 that we can stand up and go, here, hang on a minute. Why are we getting these decisions? Why are we getting these shit referees coming down to referee our games? Why have we not got the perceived better referees refereeing our games? When someone has been stood down the week before, you roll them out to us. Not good enough. Not good enough. And to be stood down for one game when you could potentially have cost somebody millions with an obvious mistake by a couple of places in the league. He shouldn't have been out there today. He should have had to start again down in the championship or something, because it's just not good enough. But anyway, enough about the referee. We've enough of our own problems without worrying about the referee.
Yeah. CC says we aren't getting the worst of them. Remember Brighton's experience? Wasn't it the Brighton game that he got stood down because
it was him.
He was the ref in the Brighton game. So so that's why I suppose we're making comment on him specifically on this one. But look, as I say, he didn't win the game for them. He didn't lose the game, or he didn't. He wasn't going to be the reason that we lost the game, and he certainly wasn't the reason that the game was a draw. It was a poor game in a lot of instances. Brentford got their tactics absolutely spot on. Look, we said beforehand as well, and we were managing our expectations more so than anything else. It wasn't like we were trying to be dour. We were like going, listen, look, we aren't the full. Paddy reminded me of Gary Birtles. But we were kind of saying that there was going to be a flatter performance at some stage between now and the end of the season. I'm kind of happy we got it out of the way now, Paddy, so that we get Unai Emery. Because if you saw Unai Emery on the touchline when the camera panned for the last 10 minutes, he was rabid. Like if the camera had hit him full in the face, he would have been frothing at the mouth. So like happiness wasn't exactly his emotion during that whole game, and I think that that's okay because And look, once again, Paddy, I always say we're not going back legislating previous managers, but previous managers might have been sat in the dugout with their arms folded. That was a game whereby you could level that Unai Emery just like by getting players forward, like he was consistently shouting at players to get forward. And we get a goal in the 87th minute. And we do to teams what teams have done to us for the last 10 years. And if we get Europe by a point, that's the point that got us to Europe. So that's why I'm really, really positive about the end result. And even if we had lost today, I would have there's so much to be positive about. And we've got we're a lot of people might say, we need a bit of rest here, and the next game is coming hot on the heels of that. Great. Get the next game in there because we can't perform as bad as we did in parts of the game today. So get the next game in there, get a flea in the rear, going back on the bus, back to Brentford, bring Fulham up to Villa Park, and get to Villa Park. Anybody who can get there and roar the team onto victory, because this isn't over by a long shot. I think the team that are probably the happiest about what happened today was probably Brighton. Based on the fact that Brighton have 3 games in the hand of us now. It was, Liverpool obviously winning wasn't ideal for us, but Brighton and Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken, have to play each other yet. And I think Brighton have to play Newcastle United as well yet. So, there are no gimmies, but then again, they could turn on and get the points there. So while it isn't in our hands anymore, we still have a puncher's chance at getting Europe. And it's as simple as this, if we snatch draws from the jaws of defeat, and if we snatch victories from the jaws of draws, then we'll give ourselves every single chance that we can. And Unai Emery can get this team to do that. And we saw it today, playing subpar. And you know what? Maybe we might have gone on to like if we'd nicked that 2-1, like who knows what kind of a podcast we'd be having here, Paddy. And
look, it would have been daylight robbery for us to go and win that game, and it could have very easily happened. Dougie Luiz had a great shot at the end. Jacob Ramsey's toe poke that went over the bar, which for some reason Gary Birtles thought that was the greatest chance ever missed, not the one that went around Robin Olsen and into the side netting. No, it's just look. We got to draw a line under this one and move, because we've got such a big week now. I cannot stress how big it is to get 3 points. I think we've got to go and lay down a marker on Tuesday, play really, really well, and have the teams around us worrying, because, as you say, Liverpool are up our arse, Brighton have games in hand, and look, we're hoping more than expecting European football next year. It would be lovely, but unfortunately, that's put a dent in it today.
Well, yeah, and keep the dream alive as long as we possibly can, and the only way we can do that is getting points. We can't legislate for what other teams do, but we can only legislate what we can do. And on 84th minute today, we looked like we were going to lose that game. And in the 94th minute, we were drawing that game. And in the 96th minute, Ollie Watkins has a header, albeit a very difficult header, that he puts over the bar. There was no way he could have scored it. I think probably should have left it to the man behind him, and we could have been coming away with a 2-1 win there. So massive positives still to come from that game. Look, as I say, we haven't had too many bad performances under Unai Emery. Let's get the bad one out of the way early, and let's rock on for the next 6-7 games, and let's for the next 6 games, and let's have a good crack at Europe. And if we get there, we get there. If we don't, well, then we've given it our best shot, considering where we were at the start of the season, I think, for sure. Anything else, Paddy, before we?
Oh my God, I don't know.
I don't think there was. I think look. I suppose. Look,
there's going to be a lot of disappointment today, and it's okay to be disappointed with the performance. I think we got to keep a handle on ourselves and just be happy that we've actually got something out of this, despite the fact that we were bang average today. That we've got a point out of it from the jaws of defeat. So, I think we got to just stay positive going into Tuesday and not get too down on this one. Easy for me to say.
Yeah. And what we're going, well, it's not going to be a massive long one here. I think I'm doing another podcast later on tonight as well. So keep an eye out for that. But I think I'm doing with Claret Blue with Dan Ronaldson. But just to leave you guys on, and I suppose really the recaps from today. We're still unbeaten in 9. A lot of you guys have been saying that there. Absolutely brilliant. We came back and snatched the draw from the jaws of defeat. Really, really positive thing. And lastly, we're history makers. In a dour draw, we came back in the 87th minute or whenever it was. We made history by scoring 19 consecutive games. That's incredible. That those 3 things. Well, 2 of those 3 are definitely incredible. Going 10 unbeaten in the Premier League is an unbelievable. Or 9 unbeaten we are at the moment. To go 10 would be an unbelievable feat. To go 11, 12, 13, 14, you name it. Beat the John Gregory record of 14 unbeaten in the Premier League, and we put ourselves right in with a chance to get to Europe. It's lofty ambitions, but let's, like as Unai Emery said, if you stay humble, then you're, and if you move your goalposts, if you move your goals the whole time, well, then why can't you achieve them? With time and patience. So look, really appreciate everybody. Speaking of time and patience, I appreciate all your patience for waiting for me today and for getting the stream up. But as I say, thank you so much to everybody. Please give it a thumbs up if you do like it. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed already as well. We'll be coming hot in the heels of this podcast. Probably back again tomorrow with a preview of the Fulham game. So set your alarms for that one. Probably about 9:30 tomorrow evening. I'm making plans here without asking Paddy. So probably about 9:30 with a preview tomorrow. And we might look a small bit more back at the game after we've had time to digest this as well. But thanks so much, everybody, for joining us today. Nearly 500 people here, 400 people nearly watching it live again. I really appreciate that. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a subscription if you can. Oh, and lastly, before anybody leaves, I will be sharing up on social media. I said it beforehand in case anybody's interested in going to the US. As I say, just want to help anybody maybe plan their trip. Maybe take the hassle of planning it out of it for you. Sports travel tours. I'll pop that up on social media later on this evening as well, so people can take a greater look at it as well. So 1-1 draw. Aston Villa remain unbeaten. We remain in 6th place, and we remain in 6th place, and who knows whether we will get to Europe or not. But we're having fun throughout the course of seeing what happens. So thanks very much, Paddy, for holding the fort while I was trying to get on here. And thanks so much, everybody, for joining us today. Stay safe, stay healthy. And in the meantime, all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.